Hello everyone! In this series of videos, we will be exploring the origins of certain monsters, the different variations they received over the years, and how their movesets and attacks have evolved throughout each game. Remember to like and subscribe for more. Rathalos was introduced in the very first Monster Hunter game for the PlayStation 2. He is the flagship monster of that game, and also the mascot for the entire series. In his appearance in the first and second Monster Hunter games, he had a fairly simple moveset, one that consisted of shooting fireballs, diving, spinning, charging, biting, and flying up high and shooting a single fireball. One particular attack has him shoot a fireball while jumping back to reposition himself and attack. While his moveset was very basic, he was still capable of posing a challenge to the player, due to our also limited abilities. The Monster Hunter 1 expansion, Monster Hunter G, featured two Rathalos variations, Azure Rathalos, a subspecies, and Silver Rathalos, a rare species. The main difference between the three is that Azure Rathalos will shoot more fireballs when in the sky and perform dangerous claw attacks capable of poisoning you, and Silver Rathalos can do that and more, being adept at chaining attacks together. Silver Rathalos' attacks hit much harder and are much faster too. Rathalos is weak to ice, Azure is weak to dragon, and Silver is weak to thunder. All three Rathalos appeared in Monster Hunter Freedom 2 and Freedom Unite. However, upon the release of Monster Hunter 3, only Rathalos was present among them. In this game, he received a major redesign. His talons were changed so that they would have an easier time grabbing things. He was given larger sized wings, and the spikes were altered. His tail spikes are shorter, and his face was redesigned as well. In terms of moveset, he gains and loses attacks. Monster Hunter 3 introduced elemental blights that monsters can inflict you with, and as a result, Rathalos' fireballs will now set you on fire, which will slowly drain your health until you extinguish it. That weird dive he did in the older games was changed, so that now he only does it when already airborne, and he glides smoother. When flying high in the sky, Rathalos will shoot multiple fireballs like Azure and Silver in the older games, rather than just one. He also gains some of their claw attacks. Rathalos is very good at maneuvering through the sky now, frequently repositioning himself to get a better shot at you, making him harder to hit and dodge at times. When enraged, he will immediately shoot a fireball while taking up into the air, hurting anyone who was stunned by his roar. However, he also gains a few weaknesses. For one, normal Rathalos is now weak to thunder, which he was previously resistant to. This change was made to set him up as a foil to Legiacris, the flagship monster of 3, a thunder leviathan who is weak to fire. Another weakness comes from the brand new exhaust system in Monster Hunter 3. Monsters will eventually tire themselves out and become exhausted, indicated by them drooling from their mouths. If Rathalos is exhausted, he will stand there and pant, and his attacks become much slower and more feeble. He will try and fail to shoot fireballs as well. The exhaust state gives you the perfect opportunity to attack him. Be careful though, because if Rathalos is hungry, he will try extra hard to regain his strength, either by attacking a nearby herbivore or you, the hunter. He will pin you down and repeatedly bite you. You can escape by either throwing a dung bomb, mashing, or having a friend throw a flash bomb. If not, he regains all stamina and shoots a fireball at you. Azure and Silver Rathalos made their return in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, and later 3 Ultimate. In addition to the redesign the normal Rathalos received, they also gained his new attacks and some of their own. Azure Rathalos can now perform claw attacks without having to land, as well as some advanced fire attacks. He will sometimes fly up high, only to quickly zero in on a hunter or companion with a claw attack. Silver Rathalos has the moveset of Azure, but his fireballs are much more potent, often causing several explosions. In 3 Ultimate, his head is no longer a weak point at all, and your weapon will bounce off if you hit him with anything, even purple sharpness. 3 Ultimate also had Silver Rathalos exclusive to the tower, unlike previous games where he could be encountered in many locales. Monster Hunter 4 features all 3 Rathalos, and all of them receive minor changes from 3 Ultimate. One thing Rathalos has been able to do in appearances is fly around the map for an extensive period of time, usually like 20 seconds or so. After doing this, he shoots a fireball or dive bombs you depending on what game you're playing, before 3 or after. This attack is so lengthy that many players stop and sharpen or go on their phones during it, and it has been dubbed the Rathalos World Tour by fans. Due to the sometimes infrequent nature he performs it, I wasn't really able to get any footage of it. The attack was changed in 4 so that not only is it limited to certain areas, but he will actively shoot fireballs at you while flying around. Azure Rathalos is unchanged from 3 Ultimate, but Silver Rathalos can now have his head broken, which stops your weapons bouncing off completely and makes it a weak point. Silver is once again tower exclusive. Monster Hunter Generations includes Rathalos and Silver Rathalos, but not Azure. To compensate, many of Azure's attacks were given to Rathalos, such as his different claw attacks. Silver Rathalos in this game is no longer exclusive to the tower and can be encountered in more places. This game introduces a new Rathalos variation, the Deviant Dread King Rathalos. Design-wise, Dread King boasts a darker colour scheme, a new wing pattern, larger wing spikes, a different face and larger dorsal spikes. Moveset-wise, he has several new tricks. His talons can inflict a more potent poison, his fireballs are bigger and result in large explosions upon impact, and he can even launch a molten chunk of rock from his mouth that will cause a large explosion. He can also do a new bite attack, where he bites side to side 2 times, 3 when enraged, which inflict you with fire blight upon impact. Dread King is challenging enough already, but you also cannot flash bomb him out of the sky unless his wings are broken, which makes dealing with his constant flight much harder than regular Rathalos. The next game in the series is World, which Rathalos naturally reappears in. Design-wise, he's received some changes. He is much more detailed than ever before, and his colours are a bit muted. He also gets a brand new roar. He retains most if not all his attacks from 4 Ultimate, with some new additions and changes. He can breathe fire in an arc on the ground, hurting anyone at close range. He can swing his tail at hunters mid-air too. He also keeps the attacks he gained from Azure in Generations, like the advanced claw attacks. Rathalos is much more mobile in the air this time, which can make dealing with his new speed and attacks pretty hard. He even gains attacks similar to Silver Rathalos, where his fireballs cause large explosions upon impact. He also has a new pin attack where he grabs the hunter, brings them up into the air and throws them down before breathing fire on them. Azure Wrath in this game has the new additions Rathalos has, but also his own tricks. He is much better at chaining aerial attacks together than Rathalos, who only reaches that level of danger when enraged. It's safe to say he spends the vast majority of the fight flying. Silver Rathalos was brought in with the Iceborne expansion. Like Azure, he keeps many of the changes World made to Rathalos. However, in this game, Iceborne Silver Rathalos is probably the most distinct he's ever been. In order to fight Silver Rathalos in Iceborne, you have to be Master Rank 70. Any quest with him will only allow people who have reached that rank. He will also only hang out in the Elder's Recess and the Guiding Lands, but he will only stay in one area of those maps. He gains Dread King Rathalos' Firebite attack, as well as his 360-degree tailspin. These grounded attacks help balance how long he stays on the ground versus the air. At certain intervals of the fight, his chest glows red and blue as he enters a new state. While he glows, his flames become much more potent, leaving behind deadly aftertrails that do significant damage. His combos are increased and he gains a couple of new fire attacks. This state is incredibly dangerous, but can be stopped if you deal enough damage to his head. Speaking of, you won't bounce off his head with white sharpness and above anymore, but it's still not a weak point until you break it. The next game is Monster Hunter Rise. Rathalos keeps many attacks from his wild counterparts, including the fire bite that was given to Silver Wrath. However, he's quite different in that he tends to spend as much time on the ground as in the air. He has many ground attacks as well as aerial attacks, but there are also aerial attacks designed to bring him down to the ground. This makes the fight quite engaging, as you get many chances to attack his weak points on the ground, rather than spend the entire fight chasing him in the air. To make up for this, Rathalos gains new attacks and is much faster in the skies. Dodging him is more challenging, and Rathalos can chain many attacks together, many that home in on you. One major new addition is this flamethrower attack. Similar to the breath attack in World, Rathalos will either fire it in an arc or upwards at you. It can be quite tricky to dodge, especially when used in a combo. Azure and Silver Rathalos do not make appearances in Rise. Instead we get a new variation, Apex Rathalos. This is a Rathalos that survived the storms of Wind Serpent Ibushi, and was permanently altered by it, now having many scars. However, it strengthened him, giving him new fiery attacks, such as his close range fire explosion. When enraged, his chest glows like the Iceborne of Silver Rathalos, giving him access to deadly fire combos, where he uses a flamethrower arc, followed by 2 carpet bomb fireballs. He is also capable of launching a molten rock similar to Dread King, although this one explodes much faster and descends down from the sky. My favourite Rathalos would probably be a tie between Rise Rathalos and Iceborne Silver Rathalos. They both like to fight on the ground as well as the sky, which is a nice change from constantly trying to whack Rathalos as he flies above you. Rise Rathalos is an extremely fun fast-paced fight, and Silver Rathalos has really nice challenging difficulty, and the new fire state he has is really cool. What's your favourite Rathalos? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, check out my other videos. Remember to like and subscribe and have a good day.